6:01. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would take a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Any additions or deletions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes by Jeff. All right, so we had staff and student highlights. That was going to be the 4th grade class. Was it Miss Shaffey had an opportunity to watch her son in a playoff game in baseball tonight, so they are going to push that off till the June meeting. So good luck to them. And but I did want to mention there is a 4th grade science fair. Do you have the date? It's June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Yep, I can give you the times.
Early.
It is on June 2nd here at the school, 8:45 to 10:15 in the cafeteria.
8:45 to 10:15 in the cafeteria, June 2nd, the 4th grade science fair. Come check out everything these bright students have learned, and you know, they're usually pretty super proud of themselves by that point in the day. So, all right, next up, teacher, staff, community comments. Not seeing any community or staff or teachers. I will move on. We had no old business to address, and nothing new as we're coming kind of into the end of the year. A couple of things we'll chat about down in the principal's report, but no new business at this time. So I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda, which would include approval of the warrants and the minutes from April 8th and May 5th, which was their special meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jeff. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. Superintendent report.
Sure, I'll be more happy to take any questions that you may have. I know that I have information here on H454, which, as we all know, that has changed a bit since it was in the House. The House had presented a proposal around 454, around education reform. The Senate Ed Committee presented their version, which was, I'd say, drastically different than what the House's version was, particularly just around class size. While the House had class size minimums as well as school size, the Senate version did not. There's also some key provision around tuitioning, particularly around independent schools and CTE centers. Right now the Senate bill is in the Senate Finance Committee, which we're waiting to see what happens with that, because there was a key piece in the Senate bill around the foundation formula, what that would mean. So we're waiting to see what happens in the Senate Finance Committee and then what will happen in the General Assembly with this. I do know that H491, the yield bill, was approved May 7th. And so the key piece around that is that from a school district standpoint, the impact it'll have on FY27 budget, we do expect the governor to approve this, but there was a $118 million buyback of property tax rates, which then provided a statewide average of 1% in terms of tax rate. And so, and I think 41 million came from Ed Fund surplus, and then 77 million came from the general fund. And so what that really means for us is that we'll begin the budgeting process looking at a deficit that we're going to have to try to not just us, but school districts across the state, will have to try to figure out how we're going to pay for this deficit. So I'm not going to. I think there are a lot of theories around this, the buying down of the tax rate, whether that is necessary or not. I think there's two schools of thought around that, but regardless, if the government does approve, it'll be something that will make our task a little bit, more difficult for going into FY27. So, and then we're also just keeping an eye out on the H480, which is it's a miscellaneous education bill. There's just some things in there around behavioral threat assessment, around policy and procedures, formation of behavioral threat assessment teams, which really won't be that big of a lift for us. I think our schools, and particularly Rutland Town Schools, does a very nice job of handling this. I think we have a behavioral threat assessment policy already in place. We do use a threat assessment in our schools, and that's really just to identify students who may be a danger to themselves or to others, and just how I can get them the proper support and resources. But we'll wait to see what happens with that. There's also just other little items in there, as well as cell phones, which we do have a cell phone procedure in place, but it will just ask that districts and SU's forum have a cell phone policy in place, which basically will state, which is what we already do in our schools. So there's just a lot of things that we're keeping an eye on. Obviously, most notably is the H454. That will just have the biggest impact on what else. And the one thing I wanted to say about the Senate version was that I forgot is a big change also is the formation of a task force, which the House proposed a task force, which was a variety of individuals from different backgrounds, educational backgrounds, legislators, retired educators. While the Senate bill, it's task force comprised of 8 individuals, 4 individuals from the House, and then 4 from the Senate, and they'll be tasked with by December 15th of 2025 to present at least one new map which shows how they're going to break up the state of Vermont. So, we've seen the maps like Senator Baumgart's proposed map, Governor Scott and the AOE had a map. And then if that map is not approved by the General Assembly, they also are in charge with having a backup plan by January 31st, which will have an alternate method of, reconfiguring the state of Vermont. So there's just a lot for us to keep an eye out on. It's interesting times, but at the end, real quick, I just want to say, I do want to thank our administration, our teachers, and all of our schools, because despite all this chaos and noise, they do a very nice job of just making sure when kids come in, they still receive a great education, and it's really not impacting them. So we're not feeling that school level because of our staff and our do a phenomenal job with these kids. So just want to say thank you to all of them. So, Tim, I'm sorry.
Oh no. Just so it could be 4 people from the House and the Senate. It doesn't have to be any mix of committee members, like.
No, and there's no political affiliation. So. Right, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, not, but yeah.
It doesn't have to be like Senate
ed. One in the ed department, one in the
right
tax or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
And that's just a proposal. Like I said, we'll wait to see what happens after the Senate Finance. I think we're probably looking at the foundation formula, the impact of that, and but then it still has to go before the General Assembly. It still has to be so.
Any questions for Chris?
Thank you.
All right. On to principals report.
Yeah, so a few things that I will highlight here. We're prepping for the end of the year already. It's crazy. So we're looking at about a month or so left, and so kids are getting really excited. Sarah's on DC with the 8th graders right now, with most of them on a trip, and they're having a good time. Talked to her earlier today, and they're having a lot of fun already. So, and they are, I think, already exhausted. So they will come back and I think sleep right through the weekend without waking up. It's a lot of walking. The kids, so when they get back at the end of the year, we take a few days and do an end-of-year studies program where they do kind of enrichment-type things. So kiddos get to go, the list is there, mountain biking, yard games, they get to do photography, fishing. I took kids up fishing. I am terrible at it, probably the worst person to take them up fishing, but they were great, and they caught fish, so it was good. They have a lot of fun. Students recently completed the VITCAP assessments. It is a very, very involved task for students, for teachers, and I echo what Chris said. Even with all the noise going on, our teachers and students just did such a phenomenal job getting through that, especially. That goes all the way from March 10th we started all the way through until even after April break, were some makeups that we had to do. But students completed those and worked really hard, and teachers as well. So huge kudos to them. Big shout out to Mr. Bertoloni and Mrs. Manaville as well, as they're instrumental in helping to implement that very, very long process as well. I'll cover SIP and a couple other things in a minute. I'm just kind of highlighting some others. We are doing fast bridge screeners now, and so those are a lot quicker and less involved than the intensive VITCAP assessments. So those are a little bit easier to manage, and kiddos are working on those now. They kind of had April break as a nice break, and then now they'll finish those up soon. Physical plant. So for facilities wise, a couple of updates there. As you know, we'll have these big projects going on this summer. And so Mr. Treya is meeting with contractors next week to finalize logistics. Movers will be here on the 19th, 20th, and 23rd to be moving teachers' items from their classrooms to the gym or whichever area they're going. And then they will begin the work. The work will take about 5 weeks or so. They have reassured us that by August 1st should be all set, so the movers can move the stuff back in August 4th through 6th, and then teachers have that rest of that time to be able to get back in their classrooms and set up after that point. HVAC, do not have an update since last time we all talked. We had that special meeting. It was on Monday, I think, last week. No update there. The focus has been trying to get the abatement and all of that set and going so that we're on time this summer and can get teachers back in as soon as possible. And then a bunch of celebrations, a lot of events there coming up through the end of the year, so just keep an extra eye on those. And there's quite a bit of, there's concerts coming up, there's class day, all of that. So keep an eye there if you'd like to join any of those. Any questions on that before SIP and, I did forget one thing, the schedule is set for next year. I've been working with actually I was working today to get the back end of it all set. So just no major changes there. We've had, you may recall, 3 sections of kindergarten this year. That is turning into 3 sections of first grade next year. So that switch is happening. And then we are also adding an algebra class for 8th graders. We are offering that as well. So that kind of factors into the schedule as well. No other major changes from the schedule though. Specials, frequencies, all of that stayed the same from this current year. No academic time was cut. Any questions on those before I do SIP?
My only this is purely out of curiosity, but this algebra, does it translate into like high school math program, like be able to move forward?
Good
like
question. Rutland High School does, where most of our kids go, does an integrated math block, as far as I know. So they won't get to like skip algebra at Rutland High School based on taking it here.
Got it.
Can't speak to other high schools though, who have varying programs.
But would prepare them.
Yeah, it would prepare them better. Yeah.
Cool.
You know, the logic and rationale of us offering Algebra 1 8th grade just across the SU is that students then have access to higher level programming, particularly in math in high school, because right now if they have to take Algebra 1 in freshman year, it limits the access to like an AP calculus course. But by taking that course in 8th grade, they could take an AP course in their junior year, particularly their senior year as well. So it allows them to put them on a different track, particularly with math.
So, sorry.
Facilities.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So for continuous improvement plan, so thank you, Linda, for joining.
I was
and
so glad to
helping us.
participate.
Yes, we appreciated your input. So we've been working on that with a team here at the school. We have students, peer leaders who are reviewing that next to give any feedback. So you have it in your your packet there. There are essentially 3 overall categories that we do. There's safe and healthy schools, and then academic achievement in literacy and academic achievement in math. And as Chris has reiterated, we've talked about, and one thing we do appreciate about FastBridge is that it shows us growth with students, as that's a big focus for us. So, it's okay to have some learning needs and gaps, but as long as students are growing, that's a big focus. And so that's what our academic goals are primarily based on. And they're taken from numbers from this year, what we saw, and increased a little bit for next year. We'll use the FastBridge screening assessments in order to help measure those. FastBridge is a little more, we get those 3 times a year, as you're well aware, Linda. We go through those 3 rounds, and then so we can kind of take those and average them out, and it will show a student's growth from fall to winter, winter to spring, and so on and so forth. We can also see students from past years because we've used it for several years now. So that really helps us kind of get a glimpse of that. So those are those 2 goals. And then we have our safe and healthy schools goal around behavior referrals, reducing those by 10%. That is the same goal as the previous SIP. We found that to be a good kind of tangible one to work with. Safe and healthy schools, behavior, social emotional learning can be tough to quantify. And so we kind of go by behavior referrals. Our ultimate goal, we'd love to have 0 every year, I'd love to have 0 referrals, but so each year we're kind of trying to work to reduce those as much as possible. Many factors in that as well, but happy to answer any questions, and you have that for review. We did have a time for parents and families to come. Linda joined us. Thanks, Linda. And like I said, now students are looking at it as well to be able to give feedback.
So it's a collective group.
Yes. We didn't all
group.
meet at the same time, but we're gathering feedback from different times. Yeah.
And a copy, this is in the board resource folder.
Yeah, I did. It's not in our packet,
No,
but it is in the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think Christine doesn't print out just because of the length and safe paper. So.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
I didn't. Yeah, I looked at it. I know I had seen it and was looking at it a little bit. So.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So last thing is just the stipend. So about trips for 8th grade. So as you know, this will be the last year for DC. And for various reasons, we've met with families and talked about trips and what that could look like in future years as well. And the feedback we got was, we can't do overnight trips anymore, but families said, well, what if we did like a few day trips or something along those lines, which is a phenomenal idea. So we got feedback from families, students for different ideas for different trips. And what they were thinking is 3 different trips could be something that we do throughout the year with the 8th graders, just day trips. And we have a couple of staff who are willing to plan it, but it would be 3 trips that are... It's pretty intensive to plan those different kinds of trips. And so Sarah's asking the board for a stipend for 2 teachers to be able to take the time to plan those trips. It's 2 more than the 1. So it is quite a bit more work for those teachers to be able to take that on. And it'd be in addition to them planning and teaching, obviously, the regular classes. They would have to do it outside of school hours, I'm sure, because it will take quite a bit to pull that together. So kind of similar to like Lifetime Sports, we sort of stipended that. And then, so Sarah's asking the same for this. We do have 2 teachers who are willing to do it. They'd be happy to, without a stipend, that's fine. They'd be happy to plan just 1 trip. But in order to do 3, we would just need that to be able to help them. But that's up for, we talked with Lewis, Chris, we know we would need board approval for that.
Was there a amount in mind?
Yeah.
Or even just more it sounds good in theory, but I'd like to know more about the
Yeah.
the plan of what the trip, like you said that there was a bunch of ideas on places. What
Yep.
can you shed any light on what those places were?
Yeah. One of them, I'm trying to think. I have it somewhere in my docs, and I'll try and dig it up, Tim. But one of them was going to the Chittenden Reservoir for like a day up there, getting kayaks, going out on the water, that kind of thing. And then there's 2 others, and I will. If you think of more questions, let me look for that document. I'll see if I can find it really quickly. Thought I'd be able to remember them, but
I can't speak for younger siblings that they are already like gauging like, oh, why is my older sibling doing that and we're not doing and things like that. So I'm sure it's important to provide some experiences during that 8th grade year, when they're on their high horse,
Well, this is how it's generally gone, is that, okay, we're done with the trips for a while. Then all of a sudden they're right back. And it's just the cycle, the way it goes around. And to say we won't go to Washington again, I wouldn't agree with that at all. We'll be going again. I mean,
yeah.
But it's just, right now we're ready to take a break from it, I think. But
That's what I was going to ask. Is it just a break because it's exhausting, or they were looking to avoid the overnight piece?
That's the bigger
The
piece.
expense of it, I
It's the
think.
overnight
Yeah.
and the expense of DC. is quite a
Expense,
bit,
it's
but
gone way high.
it's really hard to staff those
Chaperones,
overnight
yeah.
trips. What's that?
Chaperones.
Chaperones are really tough.
It's
Yeah.
to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get them to go to DC too, and we had a lot of parents drop out and families for this trip, which is fine. It's just comes a lot of personal things come up, and then
Gotcha.
you're kind of in a pinch. Yeah.
Yep, that makes
I think
sense.
it was like nearly $1,000
Per child.
price tag. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, and if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the doc. It's buried.
It's not. I mean, it's not urgent. I mean, is this? When do they? Could they bring this information to the next meeting? Do we need this? Do they need to get this started immediately? Is this more of a conversation piece?
There is a time component to it because some of them need, if I remember correctly, if we're going to do fall ones, like if we were going to do like Chinjacook, for example, they would have needed the deposit already, which I'm trying to find them which trips we're actually doing. So some places do need deposits relatively soon, I believe, in order to hold spots. But it can be a conversation and we can bring more info. I think the stipend for like being a advisor to like a club, I don't know if it was 700, something like that. It comes to mind. I was texting Sarah earlier because I couldn't find it, but I think it's something along those lines. But we'd have to confirm with Lewis.
Yeah. What was the? I mean, what was the yearbook? Do we know?
I think it was 700, something like that.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it personally. I don't know if there's any opposition.
Oh, I found it. Okay. Sorry. So, Great Escape is an idea. Total for that would be $2,500, and this is, I'll get to like the cost for families in a second. Chittenden Dam and Killington Adventure Course was a second idea. That one would be a total of $2,000 minus canoes. We weren't sure yet on costs for that. The third was a Lake George Day idea. And the total for that would be for around $5,000 or so. So estimated cost overall would be $10,000. And the estimated cost per family would be about $385. That's if there was no fundraising at all. And right now, families pay, what did we say for, I forgot the DC amount, like $1,000 each per family, something along those lines. So it's quite a significant decrease. But those 3 trips would take quite a bit of, that takes quite a bit of planning and logistics to pull that together. So that's why we asked for the stipend.
So that's like 700 for times 2.
Yeah.
I believe so.
14.
Yeah, for 2 teachers. Yeah. Do we remember what we did for? It's different, but lifetime sports stipend, because I'm just trying to. I can't remember off the top of my head either.
I don't know.
The other thing to consider too would be their trips would be beyond the school hours. It would go into the evening, so that's
Yeah.
kind of part of the stipend, I would think.
Yeah, and they'll be the kind of the point people for them to be able to
Yeah.
answer those questions and manage it.
Yeah,
Making
have
phone
meetings
calls.
for parents, so there's a lot involved,
Yeah.
for sure.
And you have, what teachers want to do that?
I do. Yeah, I have 2 teachers willing to do it. Yep.
So,
I would make the motion for $1,400, $700 apiece for stipend for teachers to do their class planning trips for 8th grade.
Motion by Jeff. Any discussion?
Did Sarah already approve the trips? Did she, as a principal, talk about?
It's dependent on this, because if we can't get a stipend for them, which is totally, again, it's totally up to the board, we'll probably just do one, so that it's manageable to plan within a day, work day, all of that. So these ideas have been sent out so folks know about them, but we're
And
still.
what's the response been from the?
What did you say?
What's the response been from like the incoming 8th grade?
I haven't heard anything.
You haven't heard anything
Yeah.
good, bad, or so these ideas came from the teachers or they came from the students? Or?
We got some from families when we met with them, teachers and students.
Okay.
And then teachers kind of planned together and said, what could we do to kind of, diversify it so it's not all the same trip 3 times over? How do we make it fun for everybody? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then they kind of highlighted these 3 as an idea.
And the lifetime
Figure
sports
that out.
coordinator did receive $600.
Thank
There
you.
are 2 individuals, both received $600.
Colin? Colin, go ahead if you can hear us.
Hello?
Yep. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Yep.
I said, and I get, and it's great to sit down with the oncoming 8th grade students, teachers, parents, but do we have a goal in mind for this? I mean, the DC trips got a lot of tradition, a lot of history. Obviously, there's a lot of cultural value for our children going to the nation's capital, to Smithsonian museums. If the goal is to, augment or replace that, do we have a goal in mind, or is it just, hey, we'll pick 3 trips you guys want to do? I mean, it seems like there's a little bit of overlap with what we're trying to do with Lifetime Sports. Picking canoeing, it's great, but at the same point, we're doing some of these programs for the entire school. So do we as a board, or do we as a school want to kind of point? This is nowhere near what the whole DC experience was. So is it the goal to completely redo it, the whole thing, or just my thoughts as I'm listening to this?
Yeah, I agree, only because, like going to Lake George, no offense, but, it's so close and it's something that you could just do. I mean, I just wonder about the variety of offerings, but I think they can work it out. I mean, probably the kids are disappointed because they were thinking they were going to do one thing, so maybe they just need to have some fun. But like Colin said, it does kind of duplicate some things we already do. So that's different than the stipend. I think the stipend is so important, and they could work that out. Whatever they come up with is going to be just right for these students because they know they're students. But the stipend sounds like a good idea. I wonder if it should be the same as we did for the Lifetime Sports. I don't know why it would be more, even though
Yeah,
it's
no, that's a good
$100.
question.
I mean, that's kind of picky, but.
I was just curious, thinking aloud
Yeah.
with that one.
I know, because it's a similar kind of taking care of students outside of school. Unless we want to put $700 on Lifetime Sports, that's fine with me too. So anyway, I think that
Hey,
should
they'd
be
be
the
happy with
same.
that.
They would be happy with that. I think it's fine. So anyway, yeah, because really that's a lot of work too. But that's a different motion, so one thing at a time, right?
Yeah, to Colin's point, and to Linda's, I guess I would say, I would feel like, like when Wes has gone into 8th grade, I would like to see personally as a parent, like a little more enrichment, and that might be what comes about, these ideas are just ideas, and something might come to fruition next year. But like, as our experience, in my experience, purely sitting in the board seat, is we didn't pay for these DC trips. We only approved them so long as everyone got to go, and the parents fundraised and made those choices. So I guess I would, encourage and hope that everyone involved, moves in that direction and wants to have that experience for their class and their children. So, but for sake of I do feel like the stipend will help start facilitate
Yeah.
that, right? So I'll take the motion in favor of the stipend, and just like I said, as a parent and from what I hear from the board, we just hope that this experience remains enriched and full and something that the kids, they're going to come back from DC, like they said, year after year in DC, what a great experience it was. I don't know if they're going to come back from the Great Escape and say, wow, that was, they'll be glad they got a day off of school and got a sunburn, but I don't know if it's something they'll talk about 20 years from now. So that would just be my piece.
Could we amend the motion to include having the administrator, work with the teachers, or the teachers come up with a real, enriched plan that would benefit the students, but with the stipend. I think that's an important part of it.
I think if we want to be able to kind of say where they should go for the enrichment piece, they really should come back to us for the approval of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that we make sure that it's something,
I
not
think
just
the
to
board
go,
approves,
not just to go fun
overnights.
day, but
Out-of-state overnights, typically the board approves.
Out of state.
So,
Oh, okay.
Great
All right.
Escape technically is an out-of-state trip.
Right.
What was the motion? Was it just for the
Just
stipend?
right over.
It's
It's
just for the
just for the
stipend,
stipend, and I think the consensus of the board, at least their feeling, is that that we encourage the staff or the teachers that are facilitating this to help sort of foster a more enriched experience than maybe the first couple of things we heard.
Yeah.
Well, no, so to be clear, I'm for the stipend because it's going to be extra work. I don't know if it needs to come to us, but
No, I don't think it would.
we're approving a day off of instruction. I tell you right now, I'm not going to approve a day to go to the Great Escape. That's just that's
We
like
did
going
go to
Rutland
the
Fair.
Great
It is what it is.
yeah.
I mean, you go to DC, in theory, they're going to see the nation's capital. They're learning. Hopefully, they're seeing the Capitol, the White House. And again, these are days they're not in school. Like, our job is to make sure. And, we just sat and not approved 2 snow days. So, I
Yeah.
think they got to come up with some better ideas. But I wholeheartedly agree. If we're just voting on stipend,
Just
the
like-
teacher's going to be extra work.
yeah, and that's
we
what
need
that's what they need in order to get this
Yeah.
process going.
Well, there should be always an expectation that field trip should have educational value.
Right.
And I think that's what you're trying to say, like Great Escape, unless they're doing like a unit on physics, and
It's
so
gonna build
there's some
a roller
educational
coaster.
value there in terms of road, which, right, I mean, but they're probably not doing that. It's just, like you said, just going there and just having fun, so.
I have to make it clear that I did go on a field trip to the Great Escape, but it was for band and they were performing. So it was the kids that were in band.
Right.
So that was
right,
different when we
right.
went to the Great Escape. They
Correct.
might have heard that, once upon a time, Mrs. Mullen took kids to the Great Escape, but it was with band, so it was different.
Correct.
It was amazing.
We skipped school.
And we won
We skipped
trophies.
school in high school and went to the Great
There's
Escape.
proof. Oh, that's,
Once
there's
upon a
proof.
time.
There's some trophies down there in the case that they won. So anyway, but teachers always come up with great field trips. I'm just thinking we never approve
Yeah.
content of a field
Right,
trip.
right.
I think the principals would,
And I'm happy to
Guide.
reconvey that educational importance.
thank you. Yeah.
I think that's what we
Look
wanted to
outside
make
the
sure that it's
box.
got some of that in there.
Yeah.
And culturally, too. I mean, think.
Yeah, there's so many places you could go within, in a day's,
In a day. Yeah.
in a day, but leave early and come back late, so a stipend is really appropriate.
So a motion's on the floor by Jeff for two stipends at 700 apiece.
Do we have a title for this position? We probably should give it a title, just so,
Eighth,
because that'll
yeah.
be something we want to continue year to year, correct? So we just would have that on the, like a line item.
Get the
Eighth grade.
Eighth grade class trip.
Coordinators? Is that what
There you go.
No?
You
Great
can
trip
go.
coordinator.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to do 7 or 6? Did you want to match the? You want to do 7?
7's fine.
Yeah,
So, so the reason we got to 600 was that we calculated 15 hours at $40.
okay.
So just, I don't know how many hours will be spent
Yeah.
on this, so maybe significantly more,
Yeah.
you know, than
True.
15 hours, so just a justification if you go above 600, so.
Yeah, there's a lot involved.
Probably will be more, I would assume.
Well, we're grateful for
It's hard to
the,
say because it's a first.
for them to, for the trips to happen for students.
Yeah.
That's a lot that kids take away from being a student here,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Memories for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes you think, you know, you say cultural, but also accessing something potentially the kids might not ever do. So, like, I think I went to Cape Cod. Unfortunately, I can't remember much more than that. But again,
Whale
that
watch.
was, I think, going,
Eighth
was it
grade.
8th grade?
Yeah.
Whale
I went
watch.
to DC too. Yes, whale watch. Didn't forget
Shopped
that.
in hyenas.
We all got very nauseous. Yes.
Yeah.
But again, that might be something a kid might not do otherwise.
Yeah.
So I think that too, I don't think you can make a Cape Cod in a day and back, but if there's another part of the coastline,
Yeah.
we're so close to the ocean.
Oh,
There's a lot that can be done there.
my daughter used to take a trip, the kids to Maine to study the ocean and it's all that kind of stuff. And but there's there's kids that have never been there
Yeah,
and would probably never get there again. So stuff like that, or to go to the museum in New York, there down in Albany, was my wife used to take kids there. It's like phenomenal place. If they've never been, it's a big treat
Yeah.
and a big learning experience.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Does does the motion need to be amended at all for the trip coordinator piece, or are we good with the motion that's on the floor?
You can just restate the motion with that if you want.
You want to do that, Jeff? So just basically
Just
two stipends for $700 for the 8th grade class trip coordinator.
Two stipends for $700 for the 8th grade class trip coordinator.
700 each. right?
700 each, yes.
All right. Motion by Jeff. Any discussion? Further discussion? All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
support.
Motion passes.
That was all I had from my end.
Nice question for Chris. What constitutes a school trip?
What do you mean, what constitutes, like,
So I think my confusion is, and this has been going on since I went to school here a long time ago, where rules, things have changed quite a bit. But like, for instance, our DC trip was 2 or 3 teachers, and then we'd break off. It was one parent that was responsible for 3 or 4 kids. Here's the Smithsonian. There's a million things to do. We'll have lunch. We'll have dinner. And now it's kind of metastasized into like, do we need an admin? If we're going to pull off for the future, thinking for parents that are going to be upset to see these trips disappear, what do we need from our school end to make it a school trip? Do we need an admin on? I don't believe we do. I think it's somehow.
No, you need a staff member. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
so it's no different than when you look at their high schools who take students to, say, Spain or to
Right.
Italy, and so you have a staff representative who's still making sure that's, that even though they are in Spain or they're in Italy, that
Yes.
they're still abiding by certain rules and expectations. And if it operates within these calendar year, and it's being something that's being sponsored by the school in some way, shape, or form, then it constitutes a school trip. But it does not need, we don't need to have all these individuals. Like an administrator does not necessarily need to be present. Like I said, a class teacher could be there with 3 or 4 parents. And, we just have to go through the background checks and the proper process for that. But so
It's
Yeah.
thinking like the demographics have shifted. You know, we have a lot of young teachers with young families that don't necessarily have 2 or 3 nights to go away anymore. So
Correct.
if we have 1 or 2 in the building, we had a couple guys that love to go to DC, and they kids are grown, and a lot of parent involvement. I think we still have that. So I think kicking that down to the parents that are listening, or we can at least communicate. If you're thinking about 8th grade many years from now, you can coordinate and work with us that we could open this back up. It's just we're trying not to take teachers away from their families that don't want to, that don't have the capacity to, but we could certainly pull this off. But it's going to be a lot more parental, volunteer based, which again, we've been raising the money, so it's just going to be more planning time. That's what I think we can do. So that's what the community should be thinking about, and not thrust it on our teachers that have all this other stuff that we want them to be doing throughout the year, that not to take 80 hours of their life to schedule DC when parents could come together and do it, as long as we have a few, and I'm sure we could pull together a few teacher volunteers that have the time. But
And
I think that's what
traditionally,
it's gonna
it's the club sponsor, advisor, or class advisor. So like in a high school setting, if you're at the senior class is going somewhere, the senior class advisor would go along with other chaperones.
Yeah.
So sometimes admin like to go just to go away, and it's a nice vacation.
Yeah.
But to a certain extent, but there's nothing that states that, because even a classroom teacher still has authority, over those students, and if something goes wrong, I think it's still be obviously disciplined accordingly. But that's how it works. So.
Excellent. Now, so next up was capital and maintenance plan update. Did you have anything much?
Oh
to
yeah, sorry, I kind of weaved that in.
Okay.
So what I said, I can recap real quick. They'll be here. The whole
okay.
project start to finish 5 weeks. Movers will be here end of June. Teachers should be back in after August 6th.
And this is for the abatement of
Yeah.
and the flooring.
Yep, and the flooring is included in that time frame.
I mean, without mentioning any names, I could just bring up
You can,
adding something.
yeah, you can have the conversation. Linda wanted to mention something about a situation that happened, so you're more privy to it than I am. So.
Well, when you talk about the facility and upkeep and safety, the stairs that lead from the gym down to the lower lobby get really unsafe when it's been wet a long time or with ice.
Lower parking lot.
To the lower parking lot. They're kind of steep, they're narrow. I know they've built nice steps, but I mean, they get wet because they're just wooden steps. It's like going down to the lake, Bomazine, from the camp way up high, it's like, anyway, so I'm just wondering if somehow we could weave into the plan for keeping the school safe some better access to the lower lobby.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's
I don't know where that.
what better solution there might be.
Yeah, I dealt with this issue for a long time,
Yeah.
and, you don't satisfy anybody. But I would have Kelly put some threads on the wood, and then it'll be, we did so much work on those stairs over the years, with putting rails on and everything. Oh, I got a sliver. And this is, again, it's like, that's the access to the stairs, and, you gotta make sure you keep them clean and
Yeah,
that
they
kind of
do.
stuff so that they're not slippery. And,
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering, because I'm thinking metal stairs, that's going to be
Oh,
worse
God,
in the
no,
winter.
no.
You can't do that.
yeah, no,
So they got to,
I
wood
would
is
just,
really the
you
only
should
other
just put
material.
some stair treads on the wood.
Okay.
And
Well, maybe it could be delved into because, they need that lower lobby. This parking lot gets full. There's so many teachers here now and paraeducators, and that lower lobby gets full, and the upper lobby needs to have space for the principals and the visitors. There's handicapped accessible. I just wonder if there's a different orientation. I just wonder if it can be discussed. I don't know if it's in the budget now, but
Yeah, I'm
it's
just
something
not-
to plan for.
I'm not sure what the alternative could be.
Yeah, I have an idea, but I could dream up lots of
So
things.
what Mike
but
could do is
now
Mike could
that-
bring that back to
Yeah.
Kelly.
Okay,
Big budgeting, there's a, supply line, it's, and it might be something that could be relatively inexpensive.
I'm sure threads would be fine.
But that might be also something, there might be a short-term and a long-term solution
Yeah.
as we look at capital maintenance plan that we may want to look at.
good.
Short-term would be just putting the treads on there, but long-term might be looking at,
Okay.
do we look at replacing with concrete?
My,
That's what I'm talking, concrete.
My-
And the location, maybe it doesn't have to be at that spot, but then you don't want to lose parking spots. That's not my business, but I just want to delve into
I
it.
think
Yeah, I know.
more so, for that area is to improve the lighting. But that's been an
That's
issue
true.
for years.
Yeah.
Is, I can't see to get to my car. So to have another street light put on to shine down the stairs and to the lower parking lot would probably take care of that.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to Kelly.
You have any much to add on?
But that's something.
Put the treads on immediately.
Yeah,
I'm sure you did.
good.
Yeah, I think I would encourage, out of not even an abundance of caution, but just out of caution, to try to work with getting the treads done. I mean, I know they, and I watch kids rip down those steps every single day because that's where I do car pickup. So like, just as a parent, I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean,
You-
my
you
kids
can-
are nearly
You can do
teenagers or
a
more.
wider black and white stripe stair tread down there
Yep.
onto the wood, because the rest of it's pavement. We had
Yeah.
that done a long time ago, so it's just the tread parts where it's slippery.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll talk to Kelly.
Yeah, that'd be great. If he could, I'll put in my notes too, if he could just follow up on that, but, prioritize the treads, and then if he has some ideas for, to put into the maintenance plan, that'd be great to hear that too, so.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we good?
Yeah.
Moving on. So, chair report, I didn't have too much on this piece. I was just gonna suggest at our supervisory union meeting, sometime, I gathered in the next couple of weeks, a survey will be sent out to all board members from all districts. Just a few quick questions on a Google form, based on upcoming superintendent evaluations. So when you see that, if you can take the time to fill that out, and that's based on the conversation, that's just going to go to the central office, and they're going to compile that data and those numbers to share at the SU level. But they just wanted more of a broader brush scope on at a local level, and then we'll take it from there. But just wanted to make you aware that that might pop up and what that is about. And then just regarding, we have 2 upcoming negotiation meetings on the 15th and the 28th. So we'll be putting in a lot of time and work in hopes of continuing that progression with our their teachers. So, that's anything to share. That piece? No. All right.
Good luck.
Thanks. Next up, finance. The monthly reports were in the packet. Lewis is not here, so I guess refer any questions to Lewis, right, Chris? That'd be best thing. And next up, personnel. I would be looking for a motion to approve the resignations that are in the packet.
So moved.
Motion by Colin. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. I do just have a quick question. Is there a reason for the openings on the maintenance side? Is that just kind of came to fruition? Or is like, are we still looking to hire part-time? Are we gonna try to fill that with full-time? Do you know any?
I believe they're looking to fill that with the full-time. Yes. I think it was broken up just out of necessity at that time and who was interested, so, but they would be looking to go back to a full-time position for that.
Okay. I'm not on the hiring committee. Has that, or we don't even
Linda,
come to those?
not sure that we've had an applicant yet for that.
Oh.
I believe it's been posted. I haven't seen an applicant. Yeah, but we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe we're.
Oh, no, you do
invited as a
faculty.
board,
That's right,
so.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, vacancies are in the packet. For anyone interested in reviewing those. Upcoming meeting, June 10th, day before 8th grade graduation, which also we're
Yeah.
invited to, and you normally attend on June 11th. If you're able to, I'll be there. But,
Do you award the diplomas as the chair of the school board?
yeah, typically -1,
That would be
I
nice.
think. Right?
That would be very nice
And if my
for
daughter
you.
will accept it from me, or she'll. So we'll see how that
You'll be
goes.
surprised.
Yeah.
That's very cool to be in that situation.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. So I would encourage our seats to be facing the students and not the crowd, but I don't know why they.
You don't want to just be stared at?
I don't love
the
being
whole
stared at
crowd?
by 500 people. No.
At
But
least a side profile. Just a dead staring at the crowd.
Yeah, it's literally, what do you look at?
that would be my only.
At least give them something to throw at us.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, no staff or community has joined. No executive session. I did skip, sorry. Any future agenda items I should keep in mind? Or I do meet with Chris like a week ahead of time if something does come up.
Are we doing a retreat?
I did have that in here. So the SU, at our next SU meeting, there'll be a little more clarity on if there's a retreat in July for the SU, right?
Yeah.
So our retreat last year was in July. I didn't know if we wanted to come back. I imagine we need, if anyone wants a facilitator. We didn't last year. I don't think we just kind of met together and kind of talked about goals and things like that. So we can chat about that now, or we can put that on the agenda to see if we want to do a July meeting.
I'd like to talk about it now.
Okay.
I suggest I would like to take July off.
Okay.
There's really, no board business to be had, and maybe do a retreat that supplants our August meeting, where we get together, talk
Yeah.
about some goals for the year.
I mean, we had a couple of, we had 2 or 3 years that we didn't have a July meeting early on, so
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I mean, my birthday's in July, Wes's birthday's in July, like there's a lot.
The sun's out in July.
Yeah.
There's vacations in July.
There's camping to be had in July.
So no.
I think we can get, geared up for the school year, some point in August together, and, there's not gonna have business to talk about really.
Yeah.
And nothing's coming out of Montpelier, shockingly, after they leave, so.
No, I'm good. I mean, I was sort of thinking about that myself, so I'm comfortable with that. If we do the June meeting, at the June meeting, we can kind of devise a plan for August.
Yeah.
Make sure that we hit the ground running in August. And I think last year our goals were more centric to within the walls of RTS. If that's where we're going to stick with, I'm good with that too. And then we'll use the SU goals as more of the broader based piece. So.
Just to backtrack, Chris, did you say are they going to vote before they leave session on anything? Do we anticipate having any legislation in front of us maps anything?
We're hoping to have something, so, yeah.
I think if anything, we put that as our main agenda item for the
for June?
retreat, just to
Okay.
talk about what's coming to happen to Rutland Town. As much as we know for that 20 minutes until they change their mind. So.
And then in August, we'll have a lot to celebrate because the work should be done. That was a big project that the town is paying for our school. It's a community building, so it's nice, it's important to take care of it, not just as a school, but as a community building.
You take bets too, over under August 6th.
Yeah,
Right.
I know. There was
Yeah, we'll be helping move
Oh.
if
yeah,
if not.
right. Pitch in. I've been working
You're gonna have a
out.
lot of board meetings that way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there was a quilt show in the gym, and people that went to it that I know said they really enjoyed being here.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Good.
And Winnie the Pooh was performed here. That was amazing. That was on a Friday and Saturday.
Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday. Right, Thursday, Friday. That was so fun
They
to
did
see.
an amazing job.
Yeah, the kids were so proud of themselves. It was just really, and they worked like a team. It was obvious that the director really helped bring them out, and they were amazing. It was very cute.
So got that covered. So, skipping July meeting, any agenda items for June, just let me know. About a week prior, I meet with Chris. Goals and things we'll talk about in August. Any big things out of Montpelier, right, in August. The one thing I will put on June is if we want to start dividing up the VSBA webinars again like we did last time. I don't know if that was a benefit to anyone or not, but we haven't done that in a few months. So where we watch one board member would watch and then just kind of relay back to the board if there's anything pertinent or not. So
Do we have 2 negotiations between here and June? So
Yes.
hopefully we have some news.
15.
If anything, that's the only thing we need to touch base in the summer. If we go past June 10th.
Good.
Perfect. All right. So, good and welfare. If anyone has anything to share, Linda was just sharing about
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh and things like that.
Loved Winnie the Pooh. It was great. Kids were great.
Jeff, anything?
I don't have anything this time. Sorry.
Birthday girl?
It's your birthday?
Yeah, yesterday.
Happy birthday. There's something to share.
Good and welfare, right?
Great.
Jack's birthday today.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were a gift for your
I
dad.
realized everyone forgot all about him.
Whoa. You got to remind him of that every
Yeah.
birthday.
Anything for you, Colin?
Oh yeah, good and welfare. Helping coach baseball's fun, but on a school note, it's great. Again, I think I say this every time. The camaraderie I see in our teachers and the admin, and it's nice. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the local communities that it's not good for kids. It's not good for education as a whole right now in Rutland County. So I'm thankful that at Rutland Town and the NRSU that we have good relations all the way through, because it's going to be tough on the community. So, Chris, thank you for your leadership, all the way down to the building admins, to their teachers working together, and parents. That's the last thing we want. So it's great to step in here and not see any of that animosity. So I feel for every aspect and every side of what's going on in the city, and hopefully they can rectify that, because it's gonna ripple into all of us. And so we have obviously kids that we've graduated from here that are at the high school that are going to be affected immediately, and as their families and some of our teachers' kids. So hopefully they can come together and figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's never fun to see that.
Yeah, one more thing was, last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and the,
I
You
gave
know,
Tim
this-
the money for you, so
That's
he
okay.
better pay you.
but, I was just in the building, and in the teacher's room, there were all sorts of treats from the office and all sorts of parents, and I just was proud of our community, our school community. And I hope the teachers had a good week. I'm sure they did, so anyway, I hope they did.
Oh, and thank you to the PTO that did where like parents could write in something about the teachers, and then it was like
Oh.
posted, I think, on the walls, and so it was just like a nice little like way to recognize. Where was it?
Out if you go left.
Okay, and I'm like, I saw pictures of it. I didn't physically see it, so I'm like, I'm not sure where it is, but I thought that was thoughtful, and I don't know if they've done that before. If they have either way, thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
We got the color run coming up, so if kids want to sign up for that's fun, really fun event. So kids love it. It's fun to watch them. We raised a ton of money. The PTO raised a ton of money last year, so
Yeah, I
get
know
out and
they
do
need
it.
help.
Parents can run too.
They need some help for that, volunteers
Yes.
in some way.
I think there's some dance recitals that day, but we're gonna try to make it.
Yeah, no, an exciting time for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks to the teachers, like Linda had said, great week, and just generally community wise, like I said, color run, dance recitals, baseball games, lacrosse games, soccer game. I mean, there's just so much going on right now, and as everyone's like charging to the last few weeks. There's a lot of energy and a lot of positive energy. Some sunshine today.
Yeah.
So on the sunshine note, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Adjourn at 7:02.